In the heart of a quiet suburban neighborhood in New York, where white picket fences framed picturesque houses and manicured lawns suggested a life of tranquility, there lived a man named Mark Hawthorne. Mark, a middle-aged man with salt and pepper hair, was an unassuming figure residing in a cozy two-story house. His soft-spoken demeanor and friendly waves made him blend seamlessly into the seemingly peaceful community. To the casual observer, he was just another neighbor dedicated to maintaining a perfect front yard and living a simple, ordinary life. However, behind the facade of suburban normalcy, Mark harbored a peculiar hobby that raised eyebrows within the neighborhood. Mark's house was a time capsule, a shrine to vintage dolls that took visitors on a journey through different eras and cultures. The dolls, meticulously arranged on custom-built shelves, held an eerie beauty that captured the attention of anyone who dared to enter. From porcelain Victorian dolls to rustic rag dolls, Mark's collection was extensive, and his fascination with each one was palpable. The neighbors found his eccentricity quirky but harmless, dismissing it as a unique passion for nostalgia and artistry. Little did they know, Mark's collection held a dark secret that would soon unravel and shatter the illusion of suburban serenity. It all began when Lisa Thompson, a young woman living in the house next to Mark's, started noticing strange and unsettling noises emanating from his residence. Whispers, giggles, and soft cries wafted through the air, disrupting the calm atmosphere that had once defined the neighborhood. Lisa, a graphic designer with a penchant for mystery novels, felt an instinctual curiosity mixed with a growing unease. Fueled by her imagination and concern for her community, Lisa decided to investigate, unaware that her actions would uncover a chilling reality that transcended the pages of her favorite mystery novels. One fateful evening, under the cover of darkness, Lisa cautiously approached Mark's house. The air was thick with tension as she pressed her ear against the window, drawn by the eerie sounds that seemed to defy the tranquility of the neighborhood. As her eyes adjusted to the dim light within, what she discovered would haunt her nightmares for years to come. Mark had transformed his basement into a macabre shrine, a grotesque theater of horror adorned with dolls posed in disturbingly lifelike scenarios. The dim glow of antique lamps cast eerie shadows, intensifying the horror that unfolded before Lisa's eyes. The dolls, once innocent artifacts, had become puppets in Mark's twisted theater of the macabre. Some were mutilated, others bound and gagged, each one meticulously positioned to depict scenes of violence and torture. Lisa's gasp of horror echoed through the silent night, and with trembling hands, she reached for her phone to call the police. The discovery sent shockwaves through her system, and the vivid images of the grotesque doll theater lingered in her mind, blurring the lines between reality and the surreal nightmares that haunted her imagination. The arrival of law enforcement marked the beginning of a nightmarish revelation for the suburban community. The police, led by Detective Sandra Rodriguez, a seasoned investigator with a reputation for solving the most baffling cases, delved deeper into Mark's dark obsession. They uncovered a disturbing history that sent shockwaves through the neighborhood, revealing a side of Mark that no one could have fathomed. Mark Hawthorne had a sinister past, a history of stalking and harassing women that extended beyond the confines of his vintage doll collection. The dolls were not merely a collection, but a disturbing extension of his twisted fantasies, blurring the line between reality and the warped recesses of his disturbed mind. As Detective Rodriguez meticulously combed through Mark's past, the community grappled with the unsettling truth that darkness could reside next door. Mark was arrested, his once cozy house now sealed off as a crime scene. The dolls, once quirky artifacts, became haunting evidence of a disturbed mind that lurked behind the mask of normalcy. News of Mark's arrest spread like wildfire, leaving the suburban neighborhood in a state of shock and disbelief. In the aftermath, the community underwent a collective soul-searching, reevaluating the balance between friendliness and cautiousness. The unsettling tale of Mark and his twisted doll collection left an indelible mark on the suburban community, a reminder that behind closed doors, a world of secrets could lurk, waiting to shatter the illusion of peaceful normalcy. The once tranquil streets were now tinged with an air of mistrust and uncertainty, as the community grappled with the unsettling truth that even the most innocuous neighbors could harbor dark secrets. The story of Mark Hawthorne became a cautionary tale, a narrative etched in the collective memory of a neighborhood forever changed by the revelation that monsters sometimes wore the mask of the familiar. In the heart of a bustling metropolis, Lisa and her family occupied a modest apartment within a close-knit complex. Her life, once a mosaic of predictable routines, was forever altered when Mark, a mysterious new neighbor, moved in across the hall. Mark, a middle-aged enigma, presented himself as a security guard with an air of quiet politeness. In the initial days, Lisa dismissed his presence as harmless, but an unsettling atmosphere began to permeate the air. Mark's eerie habit of appearing outside his door whenever Lisa entered or exited her apartment stirred an unsettling discomfort. He engaged her in seemingly benign small talk, subtly prying into the intimate corners of her life. Questions about her workplace, hobbies, and even weekend plans became a daily intrusion. Behind the closed doors of Mark's apartment lay a clandestine network of cameras and surveillance equipment, painting a picture of a man leading a life far more intricate and unsettling than his facade suggested. The turning point in Lisa's life arrived unexpectedly, in the form of an innocuous package that arrived in her mailbox. A box of chocolates accompanied by a note, bearing the cryptic message, "From your secret admirer," left her bewildered and unnerved. Seeking answers from her husband and children proved futile, as they adamantly denied any knowledge of the peculiar gift. In a bid to dismiss it as a prank or a mistake, Lisa discarded the chocolates and the note, only to find herself ensnared in an even more elaborate web of deception. The nightmare persisted when a subsequent package arrived the following day. This time, a bouquet of roses adorned with a note that explicitly identified Mark as the sender. The semblance of normalcy shattered, and Lisa found herself at the epicenter of a sinister game orchestrated by her neighbor. Violation and fear gripped her, prompting a decision to confront Mark and demand an end to the torment that had infiltrated every facet of her life. Summoning every ounce of courage, Lisa knocked on Mark's door, steeling herself for the unknown. The door creaked open, revealing Mark's face adorned with a sinister smile. "Hi, Lisa. I'm so glad you came. I have something for you," he uttered, his voice betraying an unsettling calmness. In a heartbeat, Mark produced a knife, launching at Lisa with menacing intent. A guttural scream reverberated through the hallway as she narrowly evaded his attack, sprinting away in terror. The police, summoned by Lisa's frantic call, arrived swiftly to apprehend Mark. A meticulous search of his apartment unveiled a chilling shrine dedicated to Lisa, a grotesque assemblage of stolen photographs, videos, and personal mementos. The evidence painted a harrowing portrait of Mark's obsession, exposing plans of abduction and murder that transcended the realm of nightmares. Lisa's world crumbled as she grappled with the magnitude of the threat she had unknowingly lived under. Haunted by the traumatic ordeal, Lisa made the heart-wrenching decision to sever ties with the apartment complex that had once been her sanctuary. A restraining order against Mark provided a legal barrier, but the scars on her psyche ran deep. Therapy became a refuge, and the unwavering support of family and friends helped her rebuild a shattered sense of security. The story of Lisa and Mark stands as a chilling reminder that danger can lurk just beyond the veneer of normalcy, and the strength to overcome it lies in the resilience of the human spirit. Nestled in the quiet suburban enclave of Maplewood, James's house stood as a bastion of tranquility. The crimson hues of autumn painted the neighborhood, and a gentle breeze whispered through the trees. James, a man of affable demeanor, lived there with his wife, Emily, and their teenage daughter, Lily. The house was not merely a shelter. It was a sanctuary where laughter echoed through the halls. Dreams unfolded in cozy corners, and memories were etched into the very fabric of its walls. In this idyllic haven, Kevin, a diligent college student, had found refuge in the basement. The rapport between James and Kevin was not just a landlord-tenant association. It was a friendship that transcended the formalities of their arrangement. Kevin's punctuality in rent payments and his respectful demeanor had earned him James's trust. The gesture of handing him a spare key symbolized a bond built on mutual respect and camaraderie. It was an insurance policy for emergencies, a silent vow of trust. As the departure day loomed, the family prepared for a 2-week vacation, entrusting the care of their home to Kevin. The young tenant assured them with a smile, promising to keep a vigilant eye on the property. The family departed with joyful anticipation, unaware that their serene lives were about to be rudely disrupted. Their vacation unfolded like a blissful dream, with each day presenting new adventures. Unbeknownst to them, the sanctuary they had left behind was gradually morphing into a nightmare. The tendrils of chaos were slowly tightening their grip on the once serene home. Trash accumulated in corners, clothes lay forgotten, and a putrid stench permeated the air. The walls, once witnesses to the warmth of family bonds, now bore the stains of neglect. Holes marred doors and windows, testaments to a recklessness that defied explanation. The return to reality was starkly different from the nostalgic homecoming they had envisioned. Instead of warmth and familiarity, James, Emily, and Lily were greeted by a ghastly tableau of disarray. The decision to confront Kevin about the inexplicable chaos led them to the basement, where an even more sinister truth awaited them. The basement, once a tidy retreat, had been transformed into a squalid drug den. The pungent aroma of narcotics hung thick in the air, and the detritus of hedonistic excess adorned every corner. Shock gripped the family as they confronted not Kevin, but a group of strangers, lost in a haze of intoxication. The strangers, their eyes glazed and expressions insolent, reveled in their conquest of Kevin's space. Demanding answers, James and his family were met with mocking laughter. The strangers spun a twisted narrative, claiming that Kevin had willingly handed them the keys before disappearing. Their insolence knew no bounds as they boasted about squatting in the house for a week and declared their intention to stay indefinitely. Veiled threats of violence punctuated their defiance, leaving James and his family paralyzed with fear. The arrival of the police marked a turning point in the macabre saga. The strangers, high on narcotics and intoxicated bravado, were swiftly apprehended. A meticulous search of the basement unearthed a dark underworld, drugs strewn across makeshift tables, weapons concealed in corners, and stolen goods amassed in chaotic piles. Amid this grim tableau, the police stumbled upon the lifeless body of Kevin, discarded callously in a nearby dumpster. The revelation of Kevin's fate shattered the semblance of normalcy that James and his family had clung to. The grief that washed over them was a tidal wave of despair, leaving them grappling with the harsh reality that their friend and trusted tenant had met a tragic end. Legal battles ensued, with charges of trespassing, theft, and murder laid against the strangers who had desecrated their home. The once hallowed halls of their house now echoed with the silence of abandonment. Amid the ruins of their lives, the family sought solace in counseling, grappling with the trauma that clung to their every memory. Friends, relatives, and compassionate neighbors rallied around them, providing a support system as they navigated the arduous journey toward healing. The scars left by the intrusion and the loss of Kevin were not merely physical but emotional, a constant reminder of the darkness that could infiltrate even the most sacred spaces. The house, once a refuge, now stood as a haunted monument to the fragility of trust. The script of their lives, once written in the ink of happiness, had been rewritten with a pen dipped in the darkest shades of sorrow. In the tranquil suburbs of Meadowbrook, where blooming gardens and picket fences adorned the landscape, a quiet menace thrived beneath the facade of normalcy. The sinister undertones of this picturesque neighborhood would be unveiled through a series of disturbing true neighbor horror stories that would leave the residents of 44 Maple Street questioning the safety of their community. Chapter 1. The Deceptive Facade. It all began innocently enough when the Johnsons, a seemingly ordinary couple with an air of mystery, moved into the charming White House next to the Andersons. Their arrival was marked by a charming potluck, where Mrs. Johnson baked delectable treats that masked the ominous secret lingering within their new home. The neighborhood welcomed them with open arms, oblivious to the unsettling reality that lay behind the carefully cultivated smiles. Mr. Johnson, charismatic and charming, quickly became the toast of the community, effortlessly engaging in friendly conversations and community gatherings. Little did the unsuspecting residents know that he was hiding a dark past that would soon cast a chilling shadow over Meadowbrook. The Johnsons' charming demeanor only served to deepen the deception, lulling the community into a false sense of security. Chapter 2. The Unsettling Discovery. Days turned into weeks, and peculiar occurrences began to disturb the Andersons' peaceful nights. Strange noises echoed through the walls, and unsettling shadows danced in the Johnsons' dimly lit living room. Mrs. Anderson, fueled by a mixture of curiosity and concern, embarked on an investigation that would change her life forever. Venturing into the Johnsons' basement, Mrs. Anderson stumbled upon a secret chamber concealed behind a false wall, illuminated only by a flickering overhead light. The room was adorned with eerie symbols, creating an otherworldly atmosphere that sent shivers down her spine. Amidst the cryptic surroundings, she discovered a macabre collection of newspaper clippings, detailing unsolved mysteries and disappearances in various neighborhoods. The unsettling truth began to unfold as Mrs. Anderson pieced together the puzzle. The Johnsons were not the ordinary neighbors they seemed to be. The newspaper clippings suggested a pattern of malevolent activities that spanned years, leaving a trail of unanswered questions and disturbed communities in their wake. Chapter 3. The Hidden Chamber. The Hidden Chamber, a chilling testament to the Johnsons' sinister activities, became the epicenter of shock and disbelief in Meadowbrook. Mrs. Anderson's discovery sent shockwaves through the community, forcing them to confront the horrifying truth that evil resided among them. The once trusted neighbors were now the architects of their darkest nightmares. The walls of the chamber told a story of unspeakable horrors, adorned with photographs capturing the fear-stricken faces of their victims. Handwritten notes hinted at a twisted ideology, one that justified their actions in the pursuit of some malevolent higher purpose. The revelation that the Johnsons were orchestrating a calculated reign of terror shattered the illusion of security that had once enveloped the community. Chapter 4. The Community Unraveling. Word of Mrs. Anderson's discovery spread like wildfire, turning the neighborhood watch meetings into tense interrogations. The once close-knit community unraveled as residents questioned their own safety. Fear permeated the air, and suspicion cast a shadow over friendships that once seemed unbreakable. As the community grappled with the disturbing reality that their idyllic neighborhood harbored a threat far more sinister than they could have ever imagined, the fabric of trust that once held them together began to unravel. Secrets came to light, and the once harmonious relationships turned into a battlefield of accusations and mistrust. Chapter 5. The Aftermath. Authorities, alerted by the shocking revelations, swiftly apprehended the Johnsons. The legal proceedings exposed the extent of their malevolence, and the community began the slow process of healing. Meadowbrook, forever changed, grappled with the aftermath of the disturbing revelations. The scars left by the Johnsons' reign of terror were not merely physical, they ran deep within the collective psyche of the neighborhood. Residents attended therapy sessions, struggling to come to terms with the trauma that had shattered their sense of security. The once vibrant community now bore the weight of an unsettling past, and the process of rebuilding trust was slow and arduous. Conclusion. The disturbing true neighbor horror stories of Meadowbrook unveiled the shadows that could hide in the most unexpected places. Beyond the idyllic surface of suburban life, dangers lurked, and the importance of vigilance and community awareness became painfully evident. In sharing these chilling tales, the hope was to inspire a collective commitment to safety. The scars left by the Johnsons' malevolence served as a reminder that, while trust was crucial for a thriving community, it should be tempered with vigilance. Meadowbrook, forever change, would remain ever watchful of the shadows that might still lurk in the corners of their seemingly perfect neighborhoods. The disturbing True Neighbor horror stories were not just cautionary tales. They were a call to arms for a community determined to protect itself from the unseen dangers that lay in wait.